order the Etna Township Board of Trustees regular meeting here on Tuesday, June 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here.
Ms. McKee? Here.
Ms. McKay, would you lead us at the invocation,
Yeah,
please?
sure. Please stand with me and bow your head. Thank you, Lord God. We thank you again today for bringing us together here today. This is the day that you have made. We need you here to help us through these meetings, help us through our township business. Father God, we thank you for allowing us to gather, and we ask you for peace to be in this room and peace to go with us as we leave to depart our destination tonight. Father God, we ask you to bless the military, to keep us safe. Ask you to continue to bless this country. And right now, we ask you to bless each and every one of us, elected officials. We ask this of you in Jesus' mighty and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there discussion?
Yeah, I just had a quick discussion. I had requested an item on there regarding the mosquito contract. I was just wondering why that wasn't placed on there for discussion.
Well, Mr. Evans, we have a full agenda, and I felt it wasn't necessary to
Okay,
continue
maybe next
to litigate something that can be taken care of administratively. Seems like anytime we make a decision that you disagree with and you want to go to the prosecutor or change the process, but
No, sir. The reason I requested it was for a change of representative to properly convey the request to the Board of Health. There were numerous requests made from May 16th.
Hold on, Mr. Evans, do you wish to make an amendment?
Yes, I wish to make a motion to amend to add the mosquito contract.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Hearing none, the amendment fails for lack of second. Any further discussion on the agenda?
Yeah, I just think that's disappointing to not even discuss it.
Well, I'm giving you a second opportunity, Mr. Evans, if you want to go ahead and discuss the agenda.
That's quite all right. It's been blocked, so that's fine.
Very good. Any further discussion? Roll call on the main motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes?
Ms. McKee? Yes.
Okay, now we have the adoption of the meeting minutes. We have the May 21st, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Those were tabled on 6/4/24 so that the trustees would have more time to review. Is there a motion to remove those from the table at this time?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Evans. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. McKee is the second. Discussion on, they're off the table. Is there a motion to adopt? Also move to adopt the minutes from the May 21st, 2024 regular meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Any discussion on these minutes? Any corrections?
I submitted the corrections. I believe Holly had made those. The only thing is I want to make sure that the motions are recorded. I did go over Holly with this in the meeting software. They're not showing up in the vote, so we just got to make sure that they show up in the record.
Very good. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee? Yes.
those minutes are approved. Is there a motion to approve the June 5th, 2024 regular meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those.
I'll second it at this time. I believe those minutes aren't prepared yet. We haven't had a chance to review those, so at this time I'll move to table those for our next meeting. Is there a second to the motion to table?
Yep. I'll second the table.
Roll call on the motion to table, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Mrs. Keith?
Yeah.
Motion passes. Now's the time for public comments. You have 3 minutes. We'll time you. Please come to the podium and state your name and address, please. And let me remind everyone, please direct your comments to the board, not to one another in the audience, so that we can maintain decorum. But you'll have 3 minutes, and then at the end of our meeting, you'll have an additional 2 minutes if someone would like to speak again to the board. So at this time, is there anyone that would like to come forward? And again, is the microphone on?
Is it on?
It's, okay.
Okay, very good. Anyone that'd like to speak at this time?
Yes,
Yes, sir. Go up to the podium,
thank you.
give us your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Larry Carley. My address is 136 Buckeye Drive. I live here in the Villas. I'm a 4-year regular Navy veteran, partially disabled. A few days ago, I had an opportunity to see trustees' flag flying upside down in their house. I stopped and I questioned what gave her the right to do that or why she would do that. Got a little bit of heated discussion, and I couldn't hear very well, didn't have my hearing aids in, dog was barking. But I did hear her say, I'm an elected official, and I don't know what she attached to that, whether she could do what she wanted to or not. I told her I didn't care what she was. I disagree with her flying our flag upside down. The discussion went to the point where she said, I believe in the Second Amendment and I have it right here. Well, I told her I do too. And at that point, I decided to go back home. I wanted to get my hearing aids in and drop a dog off. By the time I got home, got ready to come back, the sheriff was there. He said, I said, she said. They went back and forth with that. And finally, at the end of it, he said, well, you're going to have to stay away from her. And I said, sir, that's not a penalty. So, the reason I take that position is, I know friends, family, relatives that died at Pearl Harbor. A real good friend of mine's father went down with the Oklahoma and survived. And you know about Pearl Harbor, what it was doing. The Japanese was intending to destroy our Pacific fleet and move into the United States, and you would be flying a different flag and speaking a different language. But no, we introduced them to the A-bomb, and then shortly after that they were on the Missouri, surrendering like the cowards they were when they attacked us. She was also flying the flag on D-Day.
You have 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay, well, 400,000 veterans died in servicemen died in World War II, 40 in Korea, 40 in Vietnam, and there's still 10,000 missing. I don't know if you know about it, but 22 veterans committed suicide yesterday, 22 veterans committed suicide today, and 22 veterans will commit suicide tomorrow. And we've got a mental health problem with veterans, and if you think flying the flag upside down killed any of them, probably not, but does it help in their mental health? No. So I would suggest to the trustee, if she's that committed, and we know what upside down flag means, it means I support the insurrection, an attack on the Capitol. So if I were that committed to it, I would,
Your time.
at the next meeting or the next election, put my flyer together that simply states, I support the insurrection and an attack on our Capitol, vote for me, and I don't give a shit about the veterans of this country.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak at this time?
Just so you know, everything was recorded, so we have it
Yes, sir.
so
You're next.
on our house.
Again, please direct your comments to the board, and I'll give you a 1 minute sign when you have 1 minute left, and state your name and address, please, for the record.
Doug McKechnie, 116 Bullcrush Drive. To the trustee sitting there, you have a right to fly the flag upside There's nothing in the law that says you can't. Society is really in an uproar today, a lot of differences, things like that. A person who flies the flag upside down might have some distress, not only within himself or herself, or within the community, or whatever. And that's a reaction to the distress. An example, maybe getting divorced. But then again, that might not be a distress. But it's things like that happen. My only comment to maybe calm things down is, especially if you work in the government and you're representing the community, let the community know that you're going to be flying the flag upside down. It is legal. You can do that. And maybe give a reason as to why you're doing it. And I think that might help things calm down if something like that would happen again. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Just to be clear, I have a husband that lives in that house. So, just so you know that, okay?
sorry.
I beg your pardon?
My husband lives in that house, just so to be clear, okay? So I can't stop him from hanging a flag the way he feels like he wants to hang his flag.
Well, excuse me.
Yeah,
I still have some time here. I didn't know that.
no,
And my understanding was that you were the person who flew the flag upside
no,
down.
so that's misinformation.
So I'm not going to apologize per se because I didn't know it.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry
That's
that
okay.
you take offense.
no, I didn't take offense.
I'm sorry that you take offense to what I said, and I was not implying
No, I didn't think that.
anything regarding your family.
I know, that's fine. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Not gonna be.
You finished? All right, okay, thank you. Anyone else, sir?
I'm Preston Cunningham. I live at 431 Trail West, over in the other side. I sent an email to Rosalind because she's our representative, our trustee, our local government representative. And so I sent her an email regarding the flying flag. So I'd like to read that currently. I say, Rosalind, I am your neighbor at 431 Trail West. I have noticed how you are displaying your flag upside down. Are you in distress? Displaying or flying the flag upside down is a universal sign of distress. I would like to know the reason you are displaying the flag in this manner. If you are experiencing some form of distress, perhaps your neighbors could be of help. However, if you are not in distress, displaying your flag in this manner is a sign of disrespect. I am a United States Air Force veteran. I served in our country honorably during the Vietnam conflict. To see the flag displayed in this manner, if for distress, invokes a duty to offer assistance. Flying it in this manner for any other reason, I find offensive and disrespectful of my country and my service to my country. I then went on to list, which I won't read because it's a couple pages long, how to properly display the flag, how to fly it. And it is a symbol of our country and its people. And the flag is to be treated with respect and to be honored when on display. So there's a number of guidelines here, general guidelines, displaying the flag on a vehicle, displaying the flag along with other flags. This is the how-tos. Also included a how not to display the flag, which I took from the website on the proper rules and etiquette of flag display.
30 seconds.
The flag should never be displayed with the Union stars down. It should, that's a sign of distress. It should never be displayed. At the end of my letter, I said, I respectfully request your answer to this inquiry and that you would reconsider your manner of displaying the flag to comply with the U.S. Flag Code and etiquette rules and guidelines. I did not receive a reply, and I still would like to get a reply.
Well, you could talk to my husband if you like. Dwight,
Okay.
you know that. You drive by our house all the time.
I do ride by your house.
Yep, you sure, you live a few doors down, so you're
Yeah.
welcome to talk to him. He's always outside.
Well, I thought this would be the right way, and you being a government
It has
official,
nothing to do with me,
so
so thank you.
it is displayed on your house.
That's our house.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at this time?
Hello, Rachel Zelazny, 10141 Tollgate Road Southwest. So in Chicago, Connor Commercial Real Estate worked with residents to bring a 68-acre industrial development to a neighborhood in Chicago's Interstate 55 corridor, so around the downtown area. A row of 20-ish houses abutted up to the parcels. All the buildings face outwards, but the loading areas in the truck face court, or face the interior of the park. The developers put in a spine road that is access for all 6 buildings. All trucks coming off the feeder road didn't go near the residence area, and they stay within the confines of the industrial park. To address truck noise and industrial lighting, a 12-foot berm was put in between the residential area and the industrial area, which was topped with lots of landscaping and an 8-foot wooden fence. The lights in the employee parking lots were lowered from 24 feet to 12 feet. To further address the noise concerns, Connor Commercial hired Shiner Acoustics in Chicago to develop a plan to mitigate noise intrusion into the neighborhood. That led to the construction of a 28-foot tall PVC sound wall insulated 4 inches of wool. They said hiring the experts, such as Shriner Acoustic, is a crucial step for developers when it comes to winning over residents, because when your developer hires people like sound engineers, it creates accountability. I'm stating this because from my understanding, Debbie Sexton Rickles and her husband worked with the head of Aetna Amazon in September of 2020 to get a wall approved. I think she said it was like $2 million that they put in to go down the property line for the Mayflower division. She stated online that the gentleman that they met with was eager to do the right thing to try to lessen or eliminate the frustrations of the Mayflower subdivision residents. March 2021, Amazon put up a 15-foot wall. I state all this just to say that if the sound engineer was brought in, I bet they would have made it at least 28 feet. Amazon also agreed to lower the volume of the equipment that moves the trailers around. My question is that still being followed since we are no longer in a pandemic? If we are going to retain professional engineer services to conduct light and sound testings at FedEx to help Lynn's Road, as we should, we need to provide the same level of attention and courtesy at Amazon to alleviate some of the nuances affecting the Mayflower division and improve those residents' quality of life while we're at it. Stormwater issues and all. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time like to speak?
Yes. I suppose if I just read this, I'll be able to stick to my time.
Give us your, I haven't started the time. Name and address, please.
John Hanson, 8900 National Road.
Is that your residence?
That is my business.
Yeah. What's your residence?
51 Ridgewood Drive.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Nita and my family had intended to go back to minding our own business, as we have done for 24 years in Etna. But found out on the same night that Evans and Burkholder voted to pay $80,000 for Evans bullying and toxic leadership. They also voted to sue themselves. They have taken extraordinary action out of the single possibility that they would hurt my family more. They are using taxpayer money to persecute private individuals and companies. 24 CV 00385 is Etna Township Trustees versus Etna Township Board of Zoning Appeals, with 8900 National Road Company as appellee. You might ask yourself if suing yourself is a good move. So far, Trustee Evans and Burkholder, who knows who's in charge, are big-time spenders with taxpayer money. And I think there's a technical word for those that rail against spending, promote immediate release of public records, and then do the opposite. That word is hypocrite. Why have all my public records requests so far, also friends and other requests pending for months, not answered? It takes 4 or 5 inquiries just to get them acknowledged. Is this proper administration? Is it transparency? It also seems to show further contempt for the taxpayers that Trustees Evans and Burkholder send my records, just mine, for review at $250 an hour instead of to the prosecutor. It seems like rules for thee and not for me, for Mr. Evans. Recently, Mr. Evans attacks my wife, my daughter, Kathy Johnson, and now Gary, and always Trustee McKee, and anyone else who will not bow to his self-imagined greatness. Not to mention the daily gaslighting of former employees.
1 minute, sir.
Thank you. It's always someone else's fault. The former administrator didn't leave any passwords and so on. Lies. Check with Burkholder. It is illustrated that Trustee Evans' former supporters now seem to despise him. I'm not going to engage Mr. Evans on Facebook. If we post, not argue. It's funny to read an Evans attack on someone or somebody's attempted takedown of citizens. It seems popcorn farmer Perkins kills him on Facebook even when he adds both of his personalities. Is Chuck LaRosa talking about Evans with 3 back-to-back bankruptcies on Etna, Ohio community? He just said a public official. Was Alan Albrecht banned from Etna community for similar offenses and posting public records?
Your time's expired, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Matt King, 75 Trail East. First, stuff about some flags. First Amendment, protected speech. I'm going to yield the rest of my time to that individual so that he can finish what he was saying.
You can't move.
Oh, I can.
No, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll sit here for 3 minutes.
That's fine, but
Yeah, I didn't realize that the free speech, the First Amendment, was limited to 3 minutes in public. Would you like to give me the rest of your paper, sir? I'll read that out. The rest of it, I'll read that out. Where do we leave off?
We just added one thing.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you state your name and address?
Yes, he did.
Yes, ma'am. Was Alan Albrecht banned on Etna community for similar offenses, posting public records? As a more practical matter, Trustee Evans said at the last meeting that minutes would be posted or a link to information in the database. As of today, neither has occurred. When will the public have access to the minutes from the last meeting?
Since January 1st.
Oh, since January 1st.
Some of those have been posted. We've had a problem with the with the website because of our vendor and he's being predisposed with a family matter, And I announced, I believe at the previous meeting, that anyone who wants a copy of those, all you have to do is email or call the town hall. We'll be happy to provide those. I don't know, do we have any of those up?
Not yet.
Okay.
I got to get signatures on the recording.
That's right. So we're still waiting for signatures from the previous fiscal officer, which we have to have in order to post those, so.
Okay, well, most of my 3 minutes was in responding. Very disappointed with you restricting people to 3 minutes of speech to speak on their community.
That is a prerogative of the board, and we've done that.
time's up.
We've done that in order to say all you want. Anyone else?
Could I say something?
You've had your 3 minutes, so we don't go back and forth. We limit it to,
Different stuff.
no, we go 3 minutes. There will be 2 minutes at the end of the meeting that you'll have an opportunity to respond. Is there anyone else that wanted to comment at this time? And again, thank you, but yes, you'll have 2 minutes at the end of the meeting. Anyone that has further remarks, thank you. Road Department. We have the guardrail repair on Columbia Road, 6/13/2024. I've given you a copy of that. That is from the Paul Peterson Company, so I'll move to approve that payment. That will be reimbursed to the township. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion or questions?
That's one of the areas that we had the speed monitor there on Columbia Road. I saw the accident. I didn't see it, but I saw it after it happened, so I was coming through there. But that is exactly the spot where we had that speed monitor that we need to get back over there.
Yeah, and what we've had it monitored, but what's been done with the data?
I know that Bubba should be downloading that data.
Well,
giving a report to the board.
I did talk to the sheriff. I think we've submitted one of the downloads to the sheriff's department, so I've talked to the sheriff's department as well, just as recently, I believe, as yesterday. So we really need to, we'll work with the road department to get that information to them, because what they want to see is, are there times during the day and what is the excess of that speed? If it's 5 over, they're probably not going to do a lot of monitoring there. It's 10 to 15, and if we can give them more detailed times as to when that speeding occurs, then they'll adjust their resources accordingly, so.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the monitor that we purchased, the township.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That can set there, because that's what it's for, to deter.
that's correct.
So traffic, as it goes through or passes by, they can see their speed limit. It can let them know you're speeding. And that's a deterrent. And if we can get that back up there, we have the one down off of Pike Street. We bought 2. The township spent money on those. And we need to have that. We've had fatalities there. We have golf carts that's constantly going across the road there. I see cars speed by. Thank God nobody's gotten hit on a golf cart yet in my 20 years of living there. But I've seen car accidents after car accidents. I've seen cars spun over inside the pond down at Columbia, at the crossings there. So we need to be more diligent in making sure that the speed is being monitored over on Columbia Road.
Mr. Evans, do you have anything?
The only thing regarding the concern of golf carts and that, has there been any discussion with the golf course owner regarding flashing lights or any other kind of warnings for the golf carts for his business going across the road there? Maybe I would suggest that possibly.
I think that's a good recommendation. I will tell you, one time I was told that when that was constructed, there was supposed to be a tunnel under Columbia, and of course that never happened. So the amount is for $5,625. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the Buckeye Power Sales Plan Maintenance Agreement quote that we have for $725 per year, and that is to service the backup generator at the garage. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Evans. I'll be happy to give any update or questions on this. We found out that our backup generator didn't work, that battery was dead, and then the service, Mr. Copley, reported that apparently we're supposed to replace that every couple of years. So he checked around, couldn't really find many vendors that would go ahead and service that. And of course, Buckeye Power Supply has a lot of different services, so he went and got this quote. This would be for a 3-year period at $725 per year, plus the details are attached to that quote regarding what services they provide. I think the cost is reasonable, and I think it's obviously very important given by the types of storm, but power outages, particularly when you have the energy demand we have, and keeping that garage operational and functional during storms or any other time is critical. So I'll be happy to answer any other questions the board might have.
Nope.
Mr. Evans? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item C is MORPC funding for the Pike Street, and I'll make a motion that we approve tonight that the board move forward with seeking additional funding for Pike Street, and that would be to complete the gap that was not part of the original application. And we don't have exact cost estimates, but it's somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000. I think you recall, Mr. Evans, and you can fill in on this. Well, first of all, is there a second?
I'll second.
We're just
Second.
gonna-
Am I correct, we paid $80,000 to go ahead and do the additional engineering, which included the west side, but also to engineer the rest of the uncompleted part of Pike Street?
I thought it was only the uncompleted part. I thought the west side was part of the original.
It was, and then I found out subsequent that they've done some additional work on that. The reason I say that is because we had thought about using the CIC money to cover that cost, but I think the township paid it instead. So, but there is additional. We've talked with the TID, with Bill Lozier, Transportation Improvement District, Scott Haynes, who is with Verandas, who's doing the engineering for this, and it's estimated we should probably request another $1 million. And that would include some street lighting. It would also include some trees. At one point, we thought about taking the trees out, but trees and lighting are part of the Complete Streets philosophy and program, and that would be looked upon more favorably at MORPC. One of the things that I've struggled with, though, is I talked to Bill Lozier at the TID, and I guess I'll ask Ms. McKee, do you recall who put together that original application that we got the
2.3 million, that was
right.
me, myself, and Bill Lozier worked on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was that part of the TID's responsibility?
Well, the TID the money that the TID was part of in the beginning, that was under the previous board.
Right. And it's my understanding they get paid then to do that.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So in speaking with Mr. Lozier, I think it's July 12th, we need to have what's called the screening application. That needs to be completed. It's my understanding that is the first step. And then the second step, if you get past that process, then you'll do the complete application. I'm more than happy to report back to this board, but with my conversations with Bill Lozier, he said, well, he wasn't sure he'd be able to do the application, and so I still haven't heard back if they're going to do it or if we're going to have to hire an outside consultant to assist in that process.
The one thing I would say also on the funding, I know in the JET agreements, a lot of the TID is included in that, and I recall a provision where the township can elect that those funds go to our projects, and I don't think it's ever been elected. Now, it may have been changed in subsequent revisions. When I've asked for copies of the agreement, I've only been given the original, not any of the revisions, so I still haven't seen what all those are, but that would be another, I guess, place for funding for that. But I do agree that we should seek more funds. We can't go back and include that gap. Why it was never included, I don't know. But That's a significant amount. And just a quick comment regarding the west side, I struggle with doing that level of development on the west side, because if you, on the north side, if there's any development there, you would think that they would be responsible for increasing the parking lane and stuff like that. Why wouldn't that be a cost of development there? So those are just my comments.
I'm glad you brought up those points, because that was my comment to Mr. Lozier, is what about the between $75,000 and $80,000 that was given to them by the West Licking Community Improvement Corporation to be used on Pike Street? Why couldn't we use that? And his response was, well, then the TID would be the one responsible for doing it, but they were responsible for the original project, so I don't know why they wouldn't be for the second one.
Correct.
And I'm glad you brought up the point, which will be the next phase, if we move forward, that would be down the road. And on the west side, from 310 out to 40 would be on the west side. And nothing's been done with that other than some of the engineering, which we've reviewed. But I think you bring up a good point. Will there be developer participation in that? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Zoning Department, there'll be a walkthrough on the Scanell project by the county and township officials on June 20th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'll make a motion that we have discussion on this at this time. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Been working with the zoning department as well as McBride Dale. I don't know if you've gotten copies of what I sent out. We have located the landscape plans, and I'll be happy to send those out to you in advance. We're still working, trying to find an engineer as it relates to both the lighting and the sound wall. I think we've had some good comments tonight about the sound and whether the wall is tall enough. And so I have not selected an engineer. That'll be a board action, and I guess I'd like to get the comments from the board how you want to proceed with this. But I think in addition to the subdivision regulations, which the county's going to be looking at, we've reached out to the county engineer's office, who's going to actually measure the wall and ensure that is correct. We do have McBride Dale. They'll be coming up for that 9 to 11 walkthrough. Obviously, the county will be there. The township will be there. But we're going to need an expert when it comes to the acoustical, and I've not identified anyone at this time. So any comments from the board?
Go ahead, Ms. McKee.
No, go ahead, Mark. You're fine.
Do we have the as-builts yet? If they're going to do a final walkthrough, I would assume that they have the as-builts. Have we been provided a copy of that to show where that location of the wall is and those things?
Well, that's a great question. It's a little bit confusing because I was told that what we sent over and we forwarded to zoning and to our legal team were construction plans and the as-builts. But I'll be honest, I don't know how much confidence I have that those are actually what was built, Mr. Evans.
Okay, because last time I talked to Neville, they were waiting on the as-built, so I just haven't seen anything with that. And my concern is, he had mentioned, I'd asked, is the wall located 8 foot from the property? He said about. So I don't know what about is. That's kind of one of my concerns. And regarding the height, I know one of the issues is when I was following this as a resident, I think originally the wall was supposed to be located 30 foot or so in. And it was up to the trustees to locate the wall. They put it 8 foot and it's in a valley. So I think I'd like to know were those heights for the 30 foot in, which was much higher, which would have, be equivalent to, a 20 foot wall now in that valley. So those are the things I think need to determine. And just want to let, I'm not sure if any other trustees are going to be present, but I plan to be present. I don't know if any other trustees are. If another trustee is, I'll just observe just to not violate any Open Meetings Act. but I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, I'm glad you are going to attend. May I ask, how recently did you talk to Neville?
Oh, that was back in the election times, but probably October,
Oh, okay,
November,
okay.
when he mentioned
Okay.
the as-bills, and I haven't seen anything since.
Well, they have the construction plans and the so-called as-built, but I don't know how detailed they are. I don't know if those are only dealing with the drainage issues they have or not, but I think that's another one we need to put on the list then to ask them, particularly at the walkthrough, exactly what they're going off of. Would the board entertain a motion? I have talked to EP Ferris, which we've talked to before, the engineering firm. They've indicated that and it doesn't have to be them, it could be any engineering firm. They've indicated that they have some lighting experts, because I also want to see what the encroachment on the lighting is, which obviously a taller wall and landscaping would mitigate. But also they've been looking into trying to find a sound engineer, acoustical engineer, to verify that we have the sound study originally submitted by the developer, but I think we need to verify that that's even correct. So what are the board's thoughts on that?
Are we dealing with that resolution now, or is that we're going to deal with that when we get to E?
I don't have a resolution on that. I want to see what the board's pleasure was. We could have a special meeting, given the importance of this, but I want to get some feel for what the board had to do. We're not under contract with that firm. I merely said that we would, consider that. I talked to them before, if they'd have that capability. I don't believe they have anyone on the acoustical side, so that would be another vendor for that. But I know there's been correspondence to Bill Lozier with the TID to see what firm might be able to independently verify the veracity of that noise report or sound wall.
Is there any recommendation by Bricker Graydon or McBride Dale at all regarding firms for sound and light?
Yeah, McBride Dale doesn't have that capability, and I haven't had a chance to talk with Brody Conover on that.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
Maybe we should do a special meeting just so we can get more information.
I'd be more than happy to do that if that serves the board, given the importance of it and given the technical aspects associated with, and we could discuss that later. I don't have anything to report on stormwater right now. I don't have a report on the Half Farms update. I know they were going out there to work some more on the swale out there. Are there any other stormwater issues that the board wants to bring up at this time? Mr. Evans, I don't know if you want to talk about the pond or if you want to do that under parks, or if you even have an update on EPA.
I do not have an update
That's
on the
fine.
EPA. I've been dealing with the roads and other issues.
Right, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure and give you the opportunity. The parks, we had the park committee, and that met, and our next meeting for the park committee, it was really a review of the comments and the statistics, a nice presentation, then feedback from the members that were there, what they would like to see in the park. So EMH&T is going to follow up on that, and there'll be an additional meeting on July 18th. The town hall is open, and that'll be at 6 o'clock on July 18th, and that is a public meeting. I did call Senator Schaefer's office, and apparently we may or may not hear something this week or next week regarding our application for the High Point Park. Any other comments or questions regarding the parks?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Remember, there's that money coming out of the Licking County parks.
Right.
Did we ever apply for that?
We haven't yet. We have the intern. The one question I have is about that 15,000. I know we can bank it from year to year, but I want to see how we have to, they almost want a cost estimate, so I want to see how that has to be worded to submit that so that we can get it, but not necessarily spend it on a project this year. But I've given that over to our intern from Morpsey, and that's one of the things we want to work on. There's also a cemetery grant that we can apply for. There's some new, ODOT has some more grant money for road signs, which would be another one I'd want to look into. The one thing that came up is apparently our consultant wasn't aware, or there was a question, I should say, from a resident regarding the old barn off of Smoke Road. And I've been back there, I think you've been back there as well. There was a question whether that encroaches on the neighbor's property or not. And so Mr. Jackowitz with EMH&T was going to look into that. But also the comment was made, there are a lot of rodents and vermin in there. So the question is, what does the board think we ought to do with that property, or suggestions as far as possibly tearing that down? Apparently there's some lumber and stuff in there that could be sold, but.
Well, I thought it was on both properties, so that was, I was kind of unsure of how we were going to deal with that.
Well, that
or what was worked out in the purchase. I know that there's an agreement to have the owner of the adjacent property provide us access to the park through that area. But other than that, I was not made privy of any of that.
And is that, do we have that written?
You'd have to ask Ms. McKee.
Ms. McKee, do you know?
Provide any of that.
Sorry.
Do you know on that, is there an agreement with that adjacent property owner going back to that barn for us to have access to that barn?
I don't think there's an agreement at all that's in writing that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, Mr. Jackowitz said he'd be looking into that and see if it's an encroachment. But the main thing is it's a dilapidated building, and I guess as we move forward with the park planning, some of that cleanup work, I want the board to consider. Do we want to demo some of that stuff now, or is that something we want to do later?
And that's something I think you could look at grants. I believe Pickerington just had a barn raised and paid through, or at least partially paid through a grant.
Yeah. There's a grant through North Sea that you can check into as well for demo.
Very good.
Yeah.
But regarding access, I would suggest that we get a written agreement, because just for liability purposes and that,
Makes
again,
sense.
it's better to have something in writing.
Very good. Fire district report, Mr. Evans?
Yeah, we had our meeting June 13th, same about number of calls. One thing, the district is experiencing a 3 to 7% increase in runs annually. And as of May of this year, we've been alerted to approximately 4,000 additional living units that have been approved within the district. With that, the board has taken preliminary steps regarding seeking a levy. It hasn't been determined, and it's not certain. But there was a request from the county auditor for the valuations at 4 mil. I requested an additional lower valuation to give us options. One of the things that I believe, and I've been pushing for, is more of this economic development, not divert money from schools or the fire district. Fire district's about 18% of real estate tax, schools about 62%. And a lot of these incentives to developers take a lot of money away, pushing that pressure for funding on residents. So my position on the board is to, if we have to do a levy, make it as small as possible, but start including the fire district in these economic development packages. So if they're not made whole, that they're made at least get a portion of those funds. Even in our districts, I believe they are part of the Gen Zs, but not the Gens. And I don't understand why that was done previously, but there's 7 jurisdictions in the fire district, so I'm pushing that each one start including those, and I would push our board, I've mentioned this before, to include the fire district in any of those development packages. So that's where we're at. I believe in our July meeting is when there will be a vote. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. We were previously going to hire 3 new firefighters. We increased that to 4 due to a possible loss to Columbus January 1st. Columbus just instituted a 17.5% increase over 3 years for their firefighters. So that's a lot of pressure to try to keep firefighters in-house and not go into Columbus. So we're working on that in several ways. We're moving forward on the new firehouse 403, not the new, but the converted one at Columbian Refugee. And that's it. Our next meeting is Thursday, July 11th at 6 p.m. If anybody has questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Oh, it's very good. Thank you. Old business, is there a motion to remove Resolution 2024-026 ODOT grant reimbursement to AHS LLC Group? It was tabled on 5/21/24. Is there a motion to remove it from the table?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it for discussion. Mr. Evans?
The table or, so now it can.
Yeah, roll
okay.
call on the, to remove
Mr.
from the
Evans?
table.
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No.
Mr. Evans?
Okay, I move to approve resolution 2024-026, ODOT grant reimbursement to AHS LLC as presented.
I'll make a second for discussion. I haven't had a chance, we just got this agreement, is that correct?
We got it, I think it was Monday from the attorney.
5? Yeah.
And we got the signed agreement because there was no grant agreement from the developer. I believe that was Monday also.
I'd like at this time to ask the fiscal officer, because I've had discussions with her about this, how she feels about this at this time.
I don't think we should be giving away money without a signature that is notarized from somebody that's $100,000, $95,000. It should be notarized.
That is similar to all the other the 629 grant agreements, and that our attorney approved that and actually constructed that. The attorneys are comfortable with that, and again, that follows the convention of every other grant agreement that we've had. The problem here was Mr. Carlisle did not have instituted a grant agreement for this, and these grant funds have to go to the actual expenses of the road construction. So it is not a matter of should we keep it or not. We cannot keep it.
I understand that. Do we have the invoices?
Yes, those were provided.
Okay.
Those
I haven't
were,
had a chance to look at my emails.
those were provided.
And I would prefer to have these signatures notarized.
Go ahead, Mr. Evans, about the invoices.
The invoices were submitted to ODOT, who controls this grant. Back, I believe the prior administrator sent those in, and those have been provided to everybody. These are legitimate expenses. These are, like I said, they're due to the developer. And regarding notarized or not, again, this form was created and approved by our attorneys. It follows all the priors, so I don't believe, and I would not be for requiring notaries.
Mr. Evans, you know I support this reimbursement. I guess my question is, have we seen, I've not seen a full accounting. I'm not saying you didn't send it, but what was paid previously and what we're paying for now? Do we know what the total cost was and what we've already?
Yes, well, the prior grant was for up to 30% of the road cost.
Okay.
So there's 70% that is still unfunded out there, not reimbursed. So this 100,000 goes against that. Now again, a lot of people look at development coming in, they're widening roads. They don't realize that we actually take out a loan with the developer and we're paying that back. So this grant reduces that fund because they can't ask for reimbursement for things they've already been reimbursed. So this is, I believe, this is a straightforward grant reimbursement. The only thing that made it difficult was Mr. Carlisle did not have grant reimbursement. So what we're doing is having them sign the grant reimbursement with the terms, and again, I negotiated a $5,000 holdback for
Right.
our processing, the administration, the legal fees and that, which is standard with the other ones, 5%, some are a little bit, I think one was like 6 and something percent. So we have everything here. This has been going on for months. I've provided all the invoices, all the information to everybody. I don't feel it to delay for delay's sake is good. We need to address this.
Well, I agree we need to address it, but given the fact we just got the agreement yesterday, I am in favor of tabling this either to the special meeting or next regular meeting. I know the developer isn't very happy, but I don't see where another 2 weeks is. I think we want to make sure we get it right. I want to make sure I do support it, but I guess there's some things I'd like to have an opportunity to review first. So I don't disagree with anything you say, Mr. Evans. It's money that needs to be reimbursed. I'm glad you brought up the point that it reduces the amount of the loan because it is reimbursable. And I'd like an opportunity to take a look at those invoices. And as far as the notarized signature, I don't know that we've done that in the past. Is that correct?
We have not, and I believe it is the board's prerogative on what we require. And again, our attorneys drew up both the resolution and the agreement.
That's right. And they had an opportunity, the developer, to review that, correct?
Correct. I sent the developer and the full board.
Right. And
All those, I think I sent those Friday.
Yeah. So I'm not so concerned about the notary of it, but I'll move to table to the next meeting so that our fiscal officer feels comfortable with it as well, since she's the one that verifies the funds. So is there a second to the motion to table?
I'll second to table it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Table to the next meeting. We will get this resolved. Next item, Vision Dental Life and Employee Assistance Program, insurance to change to current broker. Is that correct still, Mr.?
Yes, sir. We moved the health insurance Anthem originally to the new broker Acrisure, then we changed at the renewal to Aetna, the AENTA health insurance plan, but the other Vision Life Dental and Employee Assistance Program remained with the prior broker. So I believe it's best to move those over to our current broker, have one broker. I provided all the, new policy information. The broker is suggesting a January 1st start date on this. The plans were made to be the same as what we have now. There was one question regarding the vision because the prior broker added a special provision. I have all the waivers from all the elected officials here, so we can move everybody over on that. So I would make a motion to approve the, well, first I'd like to make a motion to accept the insurance waivers of elected officials regarding the VSP Light Source benefit.
I'll second that. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Go ahead,
Okay,
Mr.
then
Evans.
I'll move to approve moving the Vision Dental Life and EAP to Acrisure and approving the new plans as presented to start effective July 1st, 2024. Authorizing Trustee Evans to sign all required documents to make that change.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion or questions?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you for the work on that.
Okay. And I apologize for the late delivery of the life. It's just they had questions because we had under 10 employees.
No, that's fine. I know it's been a complicated process, so I'm glad we're moving forward with that. I'll move to adopt Resolution 2024-029 for contract in-house planning and zoning services. I'll move to remove that from the table It was tabled on 5/21/24. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, roll call on removing it from the table.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. And I
Remove it
will,
from the table.
yes, to remove it from the table. So I'll move to adopt Resolution 2024-029 for contract in-house planning and zoning services. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, discussion. We've discussed this before. We got the wrong one there, Mr. Evans, the wrong version of the resolution. I apologize for that, but we got that cleaned up. This would be for in-house contract services with the Schultz and Associates, which we've talked about before, and we had a presentation by Lance Schultz at one of our previous meetings. This would be for $80 per hour and up to 24 hours per week from now until the end of the year. One thing I wanted to clarify, we currently have outside planning service with McBride Dale, and those fees, I just looked at the invoice today. For a principal, it's $145 an hour, and for, I think, a planner one, it's $90 an hour. So this is actually a little bit cheaper than that. You have a copy of the contract. Approval is contingent upon Mr. Schultz providing workers' compensation coverage and errors and omissions liability insurance, and then also a provision on the contract he has that we will not share his reports with third-party companies, outside parties, and I've talked to him, and he will waive that from the contract, since whatever consulting he provides us will obviously be shared with our various partners. So are there any further discussion? And if you have questions, Mr. Schultz is here, so feel free if you'd like him to come to the podium and ask him any questions.
The only question I had is, I'm trying to find it in here, was it's $80 an hour and any additional expenses incurred, is that like just postage, mileage, just so we're.
He would
on the
have
same page?
mileage, not to and from work, but if he had, used his own car, yeah.
Yeah, mileage within the township.
Two
county
locations, yeah, same thing we.
appropriate meetings.
Okay.
Correct. And any additional printing or report preparation or exhibits sort of like above and beyond what's.
Correct.
And I would envision most of that would take place in-house, or we would cover that cost at the time it's incurred. But this will give us the relief we need. We'll still be working with McBride Dale, but now we'll have in-house services so we won't have as much work with McBride Dale, but there will be a coordination there.
Okay. But I still think the most important thing is hiring our full-time zoning inspector, but definitely, I think Mr. Schultz can be of great help at this time with his experience and being in-house.
Great. Any further comments or questions?
I just look forward to working with the township trustees, the employees and the residents at the township.
Great. And the date we talked about that you'd be giving your schedule and things that you've already committed to, you were thinking what?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday?
So it'll be 3 days a week?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No.
Motion passes, and look forward to you, and we'll be coordinating with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. New business. There's a motion to authorize separate checking account for HRA payments. This was something that the fiscal officer asked me to put on the agenda, and so I will move to adopt that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, discussion, and the fiscal officer wants to comment on this, why that separate checking account?
I have in the checking account like 10 items that are coming out on the HRA, and all they say is MED, and then settle, and then that's it. I also need to get a hold of the lady,
Miss Crockett?
Miss Crockett, to figure out how we can tell which is the difference between township, employee, and road crew.
Okay, there's reports and there's apps and logins you can go to, even as an employee or as the administrator, that will show the exact what they're for and who they're grouped for. And one of the options when we're originally moving over is how do we want them grouped? So I believe that you can tweak the reports to put all the road crew in one, zoning in another, and so that those reports, you'll get that total amount, but it'll also show you all the individual charges. The one question I do have is, do we have to have any limit on how that's funded, or it's just up to the fiscal officer how much she wants to put in that checking account, or?
Well, that's, right now, I put a PO for the repayment for what's there in the medical reimbursement. There's like 15,000 for the trustees and 16, I think, for the road crew. So eventually we'll have to move money from one account to another again. I would want to find out what the total amount each card is worth, and maybe do it on a 6-month thing and see how it goes.
Well, I think I've sent that information before if you need me to resend it or pull out those specific emails, but the HRA portion will cover any of the deductible or out-of-pocket expense for the individuals. So that would be the deductible for this year minus the 2,700 HSA that was provided. But if there's family members, there's additional family members. So definitely there's probably going to be more than that 15 and 16,000 that you indicated, because the whole point of the HRA was to have lower rates on the medical insurance policy, and if people don't use it, we get that savings. So yeah, Michelle's been great, Ms. Crockett's been great to work with, and if you have any questions, like I said, they can definitely help set you up. And I'm going to be sending out an email summarizing how you can get on the either app or online to see what your HRA card balance is and all this stuff. It's really, really neat, and like I said, much better than our prior broker.
That's fine. I know it'll probably need more, but to start out.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item B, do you have a motion, Mr. Evans?
Yes, I just have a motion to approve the prosecutor opinions requested as stated here.
Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Discussion?
If you want me to
Yes, please.
expand on it, these are just two opinions regarding the procedure for zoning text amendments, and then also setting hearings that there's been some disagreement with the board, and even there's been some disagreement with the zoning commission chair as to what the proper procedures are. And I just want to make sure that we follow what we should, and that there's no further delays in anything. So I think these would be pretty easy for the prosecutor to address and just clarify once and for all.
I'll make a motion to amend the motion that this follow-up be done by the president of the board. And that's my motion to amend. Is there a second?
I'll second, as long as it's done.
Second by Ms. McKee. And I know there's been disagreement on it, but I think the way this has been approached has not been done professionally. I think there are a lot of questions. It didn't need to get this contentious, but I think that's one thing that the Zoning Commission, our BZA, and our employees have been working very hard to follow the proper procedure and make things are done correctly here. So I take a little bit of exception when comments are made, negative comments, and some of them unfounded, against employees or other trustees, simply because they didn't like the process. So
No,
let me finish, Mr. Evans. It's pretty obvious by what you put on this agenda how you felt about it, and you didn't like the way the process took place. And yet I'm glad that the M1 amendment got through. We followed the process. There were some hiccups, but we got through. And I think I'm going to support this because anything we can do to assist our zoning commission and our BZAs to properly follow, and some of that's going to be training. So I've already talked to the prosecutor about maybe having them come out. I know the OTA for Licking County wants to do some additional training. So I'm not opposed to getting some clarity on this, but I'm not going to let it be weaponized against other trustees or any of our boards or commissions. We'll get the answers to this, and there's been a lot of stuff that's been moved to the commission, to the prosecutor's office that is now on hold. So we can't continue to flood them with every time we feel there has to be an opinion on something. Some of this stuff is going to have to wait, but this is an important one because it does affect our boards and commissions. So we'll get this detailed. So is there any further discussion on the amendment?
No.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, I'd just like to say, I think you're mischaracterizing it because I just want us to follow the law and the rules and proper procedure. Even our section 6 of the zoning prescribes exactly how the procedure is supposed to be, and that wasn't followed. I provided flow charts, I provided information, and it still wasn't. And luckily, based on we had to get a prosecutor's opinion that because the required dates were not met in the zoning commission portion, that's not fatal. But if it wasn't ours, it would be. And I don't understand the hesitancy to ensure that we're doing the right thing because the recommendation of others were followed, and it just wasn't true. And we've got to get away from, well, this is how we did it. There's been a lot of mistakes. This stuff has been very clear. I don't think there's an opinion needed, but obviously there is, since there's still disagreement. So since we're all need to be copied on all the prosecutor stuff, whether I do it, the board president does, but I hope it's dealt with properly and fully as I had requested.
Well, it pains me to say this, Mr. Evans, but the way your incessant negative comments on Facebook and also in your correspondence with the boards and commissions, as well as weaponizing this type of a process to try to make a point. Mistakes do get made, but it's important that we work cooperatively and collaborative together rather than going out and making negative political statements. Nothing's getting done. It's so-and-so's fault. They didn't do this and that. And I ran for this position about civility and professionalism, not only in the meetings, but as we communicate with other bodies. And that's the reason I made the amendment that it come through the president so that we get this, we bring it back to the full board and the public, and it's not weaponized or used to criticize other people unduly. Because I've had enough of it. I've seen enough of it on Facebook. It's counterproductive for this board and it's counterproductive for the community. And I finally decided at this meeting, I've got to speak my mind for the best interest. And it's what I campaigned on and it's what I intend to do. But when I see some of this negative nonsense out there on Facebook, it doesn't help anyone, and I'm not going to tolerate it, at least as one trustee. Ms. McKee can speak for herself, when it's used to try to unduly criticize our zoning commission or BZA or anybody else. So I've said my piece. I've got nothing more to say on that. Ms. McKee, do you have anything?
No.
Mr. Evans?
Yeah, just finally, it's not a criticism of any one person, it's about the process. When ORC specifically states, even our Section 6 zoning says within 5 days it must be transmitted to the LCPC, and it's not, and it's held over for a meeting, which is improper. That's not proper. And so then we miss the other date. And those are the things that I'm trying to get that us on track of properly operating. And these are the simple things. So if someone takes exception that, hey, you're not following ORC, I don't know what to say, because it's part of my duty as oversight to ensure that that's done.
You made yourself perfectly clear, Mr. Evans.
Jeez.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Was that on the amendment? or
That's
the-
for you, yeah, for the prosecutor.
Amendment. And now, any further discussion on the main motion? Roll call on the main motion, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, item C, resolution 2024-033, pavement cape seal and microsurfacing.
Yes, I'll move to approve resolution 2024-033, resolution to authorize road cape sealing and microsurfacing as presented. And we can discuss the actual cost because there's a couple different versions if we want to move forward with it.
Is there a second?
A second for discussion.
Go ahead, Mr. Evans.
Okay, first I want to apologize for getting the final estimates to the board late. I've been pushing the contractor and it's just they're busy, they're in their season. So
bless you.
they got it as soon as possible. For history, we requested the certified estimate from the engineer on Refugee Road in one section of Palmer Road. Refugee Road was over $500,000 just for the mill and fill in that section. And I think $156,000 for that one section on Palmer. By resurfacing and not just milling and filling, we'll be able to extend the useful life of these roads at a much lower cost, approximately 30% of the cost, while extending it 8 to 10 years. The estimates for treating the variety of roads, which I provided a photo, where are we at here? Include the two sections of Refugee, two sections of Palmer, from Palmer Tollgate to Linz, and then Linz to 310, Linz Road from Palmer to 70, and then Smoke Road from 40 to Palmer Road. The two estimates that they provided differ based on, they can apply the cape seal or the microsurfacing in a straight manner and not getting the 1 foot approaches that kind of dip into the properties, or they can do that. There's approximately, I think it was $20,000-$30,000 difference to get that. Now, I think that's more important maybe in the neighborhoods if we do that with the microsurfacing. So that would be at the pleasure of the board. But with this, the total, the total without the approaches is $611,749.82, and going hitting those approaches would be $630,127.12. Some of the roads would be cape sealed, which is a chip seal, but don't get concerned, it would be topped with a microsurface. And then some of the other sections that are in better condition would just get the microsurfacing, which would be Smoke Road, the development on Watkins, and Linz Road, and Palmer going to 310. The other ones would be cape sealed, and like I said, in context, the resurfacing, the milling, and reapplication of the asphalt just on that one Palmer section was over $500,000 last year. So we're treating a lot of roads, extending the life. That Palmer Road section, I believe, was 8 years old when we milled and filled it. So we'll be able to take the similar sections on Palmer and others throughout the township and get a lot more life out of them at a significantly reduced cost. And this was part of the, there was a proposal or a presentation back in December that I know our road crew attended, Mr. Burkholder and I also attended. And it's more about maintaining and preserving the roads instead of just replacing them. after 8 to 10 years. So we should be getting a lot more life out of the roads. Mr. Copley and I, along with the Strouser rep, went and looked at the various roads in Violet Township that had these processes done. Aesthetically, it looks great. Again, it's not a chip seal, so you don't have the exposed aggregate. And I think this is kind of the way forward, especially with the declining revenues that we're seeing on some of the Jed Z's and Jeds. We've got to really be mindful of our money. And one of the things is just like the Reclamite application, Strouser participates in the cooperative bid process with the state. And that's where they bid the cost with the state on a per unit measure, and that's the cost we're getting here. One of the things that would need to do is get access to the Ohio buys, which we do for the Reclamite. I'm still attempting to do that because there were no passwords or logins provided for that. So I'm working with several individuals to try to get access to that. And once I did,
We're part of that now?
we have been, the administrator for that is right now Randy Ford. And emails are going to John Carlisle's address. So nothing's been changed, nothing's been updated.
What do we need to do to get that switched?
I'm working with, I've just been providing another individual. I thought I was copying the board. If not, I can
Well, that's
forward
fine.
these, but
No, that's fine.
to get access, and then we can assign, the goal would be, once the administrator comes on board, to make them the administrator of that account, and then you can have users, so the secretary could be user and others
Okay.
for that. So right now, that's what I'm trying to get access there, so we can proceed with the Reclamite, but we would also have to do this. So I don't know, we can also, if the board does not want to do this, the maintenance of the road and reconditioning of the road, and just wants to do a mill and fill, I don't have a resolution for it, but we certainly have the engineer estimates for the 2 refugee roads and the Palmer Road, and we can move forward on that. But just those 2 roads alone, I think, are near 700,000.
Yeah, I can see here from, I agree with you. You know, I'm a big supporter of doing this remediation or sealing, preservation, I guess you would call it. Do you know offhand which road on that chip and seal, even though it's not the traditional in Violet? I just want to take a quick look at it sometime.
They'll do neighborhoods.
Okay.
And like I said, you can't tell, they put that microsurfacing,
Right.
which is about 3/8 of an inch over that. And within this, there's 2 different, I guess, aggregates with the microsurfacing. The wrap aggregate, which is the reclaimed asphalt pavement, provides a darker pavement and it looks a little bit better. So that's what I've asked them to include here. Because I know definitely with neighborhoods, that's one of the concerns. And there's a number of neighborhoods that my plan, as I've been working through this, is to have it set up where we can hit some neighborhoods next year and really extend the life of these instead of just replacing after 8-10 years.
How do the roads we've selected square with what pavement management in their evaluation?
That was used as part of that, and we also drove all the roads just to verify. The ones that are in worst condition has a lower PCI. Those are the ones that are going to receive the or proposed Cape seal, which is the chip seal, and then the microsurfacing. The ones that are in better condition would just be the microsurfacing, and that will last, I think, 5 to 8 years of just the microsurfacing, and you can redo that again. I'm trying to see here, because I put in the engineer's estimates, taking out the striping, the square yard cost on Palmer for mill and fill is over $26. Refugee Road, both sides, about $24. average. For microsurfacing, it's a little under $5, and for Cape Seal, it's a little under $9. So,
I trust that. I trust.
but
those
I'm just saying,
numbers.
that compared to just replacing it, we can extend the roads here and I think keep a lot more money, especially when we're talking about parks and other things that the community wants to do, and looking at possibly declining revenues.
Have you looked at the appropriations and how this fits? Have you had a chance to talk to the fiscal officer on?
We budgeted, when we passed the budget, we set aside $1 million
Right.
for the road paving. So this is, when you include this with the reclamite, it would be just over 700,000. And I know last year we were at over $1 million,
Yep.
but half of that was reimbursed through the JED-Z accounts.
Well, that's my other question is, since we talked about this at the previous meeting, and I think we're talking, is any of this Heritage Drive in here? We were talking about reimbursement.
That's with the reclamite. That's separate from this. That Ms. McKee will have to deal with that with the JED-Z board. But there are no roads here within the corporate park.
But I do want to, now that we're talking about this, but as it relates to roads, I think we ought to send a letter. The fact that the JED-Z only meets once a quarter really kind of throws us off here on our schedule at the township. So, Ms. McKee, do you think the JED-Z board, since their procedure is now we have to have approval ahead of time?
Yes.
Would they
Our
have
next meeting is in August, so yeah.
Didn't we approve that last meeting
We
for
did.
to receive? Oops, sorry.
We didn't talk about a letter. He's talking about.
Well, we have to, has there been any contact with them for reimbursement? The meeting's not till September, is my
Correct.
understanding.
Correct.
But you want to get this done as soon as possible, correct, Mr. Evans?
Right, that's what I'm talking
Well, this is separate from the
I
reclamite.
know this, but as far as the reclamite,
Yeah, we passed the reclamite
I
and they're putting
understand,
on
but
the schedule. and
but I want to follow up with the fact that we're going to get reimbursed.
Right. Well, my contention is that they passed up to, I think, the JED-Z2 up to 500,000, I believe, and they didn't use all that
Yes.
for the road paving. And
Right.
I would consider the reclamite, because a lot of times that is part of the paving, that as soon as it's paved, that's done. So
Ms.
that's
McKee,
something, if we get reimbursed, we get reimbursed. If not,
Would you please follow up with that and see if the board, given the fact that that could be included with what was previously approved by the board, the
Absolutely.
JED-Z?
and I think that was about $35,000.
That's
of the-
correct. So when do you want, do you need to get Ohio buys first?
No, what we need, the contractor schedule is filling up. He needs to know as soon as possible on this. Today would be optimal, end of the week is advised. So if the board does not want to move on this today, I would advise that we have a special meeting within this week to let the contractor know. Otherwise, I think we're not going to make their schedule this year, and then we can maybe do it next year. But the roads will deteriorate more, and maybe some that were microsurfacing might have to be Cape Seal now. And so, and one of the things I will point out is I went around with Don Copley, our road superintendent, and there are several areas that would need to be crack sealed. Only the really large ones that would be Cape sealed. The ones that microsurfacing would need a little bit more. Bubba's comfortable in doing that, and there's a few road repairs, some of the edges we'd have to hit. We could have had the contractor do those, but I think that's something that since our road crew does that, we just focus them on this, and then next year we could start a little bit sooner, and some of the neighborhoods that we have to hit, they can address that. So my plan is to have a comprehensive 5-year plan for road maintenance to ensure our road inventory stays in best condition at the lowest cost as possible.
What's the higher price? I think you want to do those approaches as well, don't you, to make it consistent?
I would think so, because they're going to be exposed, and And
What's that price?
I think the cost difference was 20,000. It was 611 versus.
What, 630? Let's get that included in the motion so that.
Wait, hold on. It was 611, almost 612, and it was 630, a little over 630 for the approaches. Like I said, I think that'll be even more critical when we start doing the neighborhoods. One of the main ones I think is on a candidate is Trail East and West. They've been crack sealed. I think they're about 10 years old, and they're due. I think typically the township would have just had it ground out and replaced, but with this micro surfacing, there's no need to adjust any of the curbs, any of the sewers or any of that stuff.
Any further discussion on this?
I would just put in the motion to add the $630,127.12.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
What was the change? I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't get the
I'm
last.
sorry.
12 cents.
12 cents.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay. I'll move to discuss access to the office email. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. The question has arisen in working with our staff in the office. Mr. Evans, who all has access to the office email? And
I provided an email explaining that right now the office, the Etna Township at etnatownship.com, which also has the office at going to it. Right now, Holly, our secretary, has access, and so do I.
Okay. Are you accessing that or opening any of the emails? And the only reason I bring this up is it's not a negative comment, but to try to get the flow, making sure who's opening those up. There's one point of contact. I don't have a problem with all three trustees having access to it, but to keep it organized so that the secretary knows what emails have to be followed up or has one already been opened. So are we still monitoring that? And that's the reason I put it on the agenda, so we're clear on how we're.
Right. One of the things when they set up the email, I think it's part of the convenience of the system, which I've talked to X-Tech about this, that if there's an exact email sent to, say, the office and myself, if I open my copy, it'll show red on that. So I've just gone back and put unread, but most of them are not copied like that. There has been some concern on emails from the former secretary. Those have never been copied to me, and those have not been opened. So I'm not sure why those went to like the delete folder or trash folder. Sometimes tech is just weird. I know there was a request for a types of trees from somebody in Orchard Glen that was in the delete folder that I saw and had inquired about, but I did not see in mine, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
Do all three trustees have access to the office email?
You can.
I don't want access to it, and I've not accessed it, so I'm good.
Well, I didn't think that, but I want to make it clear from a
I don't want to confuse.
from a practical standpoint, so that now I realize if the secretary's ill or on vacation, we really need access to that, but we need to have a procedure and a follow-up on that. I just don't want to confuse office staff that, well, has it been opened, has it not been opened, and that's why I wanted to clarify that.
Correct,
So.
and I've discussed this with Holly, and eventually, the part of my oversight with that was, number one, Holly was new, making sure that, things aren't missed, or if I have to address or even send those notices out, we do have access to that. It had to happen a couple times. But eventually, once we bring the administrator on, they can take on that kind of secondary oversight, because, why not?
Okay, very good. Item E, I don't have a resolution prepared for this, but for discussion, what's the pleasure of the board regarding retaining professional engineering services to conduct lighting and sound testing on the Scannell site at Tollgate Road?
Did we have a proposal, or was there an
Well, we do
attached
have
agreement?
Well, we had the information from EP Ferris on it, but we didn't take any action, just what the services would be.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we've done anything on proposal. I think it's urgent, but I want to bring it to the full board. I don't have the authority to go out and sign a contract, although I've talked to them and inquired, as we do on a lot of things, do you have the services? They don't have the acoustical. That would be, as I said earlier, a different company. I want to get a little bit more on the lighting, because I think we know the lighting is encroaching on the neighbors. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I don't know the whole history. I'm not saying you do, Mr. Evans. I don't know if they ever did install light shields or not. We have residents here that might have a better idea on that, and maybe can comment under public comments, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. The one question I have is, if they're not doing the acoustic, would they be seeking that vendor and running those results through them? Or
Probably.
Are we gonna have to get somebody else for the acoustic?
No, they're trying to coordinate right now, doing some, at no cost to the township, to find out if there would be that specialized service. And we can do that internally too, time permitting. Is try to find that person that basically to verify that sound wall, which my understanding was conducted with concerns of sound emanating from within the building, but we all know it's the sound outside of the building.
Correct, and the survey, the sound survey that I saw, I may be wrong, but I thought that's when the wall, again, was much further in. So moving the wall, I would think whatever sound survey they did would have changed.
I appreciate that clarifying point.
So, but I'm all for bringing an engineer to determine where we're at with Scannell, because it's every day it negatively impacts the
Well,
quality.
then let's make a general motion that I bring back either at a special meeting or the next meeting, a proposal for the board to approve. Is that, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Do we need a motion?
Well, I
bring it
just want to
back?
make sure that I'll bring it back and I have the board's blessing.
If you want the motion, I so move.
Second by Mr. Evans. Discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
thank you. Update on the Reynoldsburg Tax Incentive Review Council. That's the TURC, as they commonly call it. There was a meeting on 5/20/24. Ms. McKee and Mr. Evans, is Nicole Washington our representative?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, why did John Carlisle attend the meeting and vote?
From my understanding, she was out of the, all out of the country.
That's fine, but why
But I
was
didn't know-
John?
We didn't know that until after the fact, so I don't know why he attended. I didn't find him to
Well,
attend, so that would be my answer for you.
Well, I've talked to Reynoldsburg and they were surprised that he showed up and voted. So I'm still looking into it. Mr. Evans, I don't know if you have any information, but I want to know who is the official person there and who contacted John Carlisle, who's no longer a township trustee. I don't think it was proper to have him go and vote, unless he's a member.
Did he vote?
Yes, I verified that.
Okay.
Yes.
So is he a member?
I don't know. I haven't gotten an answer yet. I've gotten TIF documents, which are part of that, and I've gotten some minutes from 2023. I've called the county, and a county tax incentive review council here in Lincoln County is a little different than one at the city. And I verified that, or I got that information, at least to follow up on it, from Grove Licking County. It may be a little bit different rules according to Ohio Revised Code for a city. But when was Nicole appointed? I take it that was last year?
Last
Or
year.
The
It was in
2022?
She was appointed 2022. Yeah, the end.
But I've had I've had questions from residents that, it's always been a mystery to me because I wasn't a trustee. I knew it was formed to do infrastructure over there, but I think there are a lot of good questions. What's it being spent on since we border that, and Taylor Road, and what projects and what parcels, and we have some of that information, which I think I forwarded it to you today. It was just today. So I don't have any analysis or anything on it, but the fact that I want to know who's on that board and who's representing the township.
Yeah, but there was an issue before on the JED boards where they had an individual voting that was not on the JED board, and Mr. Carlisle allowed them to vote. And I think it's that's why we need proper oversight of this, because there's a lot that's going on that it's just not following the rules of law or our directives. So definitely we need to find that. And one of the things I have not gotten an answer on, and this is not the Turk, but I believe it's the Jed Z or Jed, Mr. La Rosa, as an alternate. He was appointed by Ms. McKee. Apparently no interview with that. He was noted in the newspaper as being an appointee, and he says, no, he's not. And I've asked repeatedly the prior administrator staff, is he or isn't he, not gotten an answer. So I think we need to really determine what's going on with a lot of these boards.
I agree, Mr. Evans, and we had TIF documents, which I'm glad we've got Brickard Graydon on board, because those TIF documents finally got filed both with the county and with the state, the TIFs that we have. And also, apparently, there may be a TIF associated with Jedzy 2, which is the Amazon property. That's been an ongoing discussion at the Jedzy board meeting, and Mark Motter with the city of Newark apparently found some documents. I haven't totally reviewed them, but I did forward them over to Brickard Graydon so we could kind of get that cleaned up. And I forwarded this information over to him as well, so we can get the clarity that we need, and we need to know who's making those decisions too. So.
Oh, most definitely, and that's where I think, I mean, it goes to lack of working files, lack of information, that we're really digging out of the mess and trying to figure out what's going on. So, yeah, the sooner we can do that, the better, and move forward.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2024-032 to approve purchase orders?
Yes.
Motion.
Do we have a copy of those?
Is there a second?
You should.
I don't have the printed copy. You sent a bunch of files. Do we have?
It should, you have a copy of the,
No.
Do you have a packet?
No.
Yes.
the back, in the back.
No, I don't have a packet. It was never provided on the electronic form. I don't have a packet that was provided on the desk. The only thing that was on the podium was the waiver of Mr. Burkholder.
Did you have the
I don't have the payments either.
She can get that for you.
maybe it's on Mars.
No. This was the packet on my desk.
I don't know if you have it. I think I've got it here, but.
He needs to leave it.
One thing I do want to say about this, I don't think we need to attach all those documents in diligent. I mean, I know there's a lot of detail, but all the invoices and everything, were those part of diligent as well?
Yeah, it's made to be, that's the whole point of the system, is attaching all the documents for the board, the public, everybody, because as we've been going through, every document that is needed or for review or anything is included in that for not only the board, but the public. Again, that's the whole purpose of the system.
Yeah, but I think it's a little overloading. I mean, it's all public information, but having the entire, I forget how many pages for the fire department as far as the bills they paid and everything else, I don't know if that's in the best interest with that much information.
But if it's electronic, what we need to do is, we've sent out several requests to yourself and Ms. McKee. You can sign in here, haven't done that yet, but to access, it's just a link, and if you don't want to read it, what you're looking at is the entire PDF that has all the, you don't want to do that. You want to just, I want to look at that document, click it, it'll show you. But that's the whole point of the system, that when there's a change, like there was that resolution where there were errors, calling out a attorney, resolution for attorney, that you just switch it there and you don't have to pull out that packet.
We'll discuss this at a later meeting, but go ahead and tell us about if you want to review that since you have questions. That's part of the confusion. Nothing wrong with doing everything electronically, but apparently that, since we printed it out of the packet, it wasn't.
No, but if this was provided, it would have been there. And
we understand.
I do have a question on the neighborhood strategies. I know the amount owed is larger than 30,000. Is that?
I have a bill on my desk that says do not pay until they do the meeting.
Correct?
$30,000.
It's my understanding we've paid 30, is that correct?
I thought it was $30,200 and we paid $30,100.
Well, she has, I saw the,
If he's only
I gave
billing
him the
30.
invoice.
yeah, it says 30,000. But that's not until it's the presentation on the 26th.
Right. I just want to make sure we're not short
No,
here.
that's fine.
Not short $100,
No.
because it was supposed to be half and half.
Right.
And it was 60,200.
Next word said 30,000 even, so.
Okay.
There's a page 1 if you hadn't seen that one.
That's this one.
And do you need the,
That's another copy here. So
yeah,
both
do you
have
need
copies.
this transactions? Have you seen
No, I
that?
got the payments
Okay.
here, so this looks like a copy of.
Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
motion passes. Is there a motion to ratify the payment of the bills as shown on the payment list?
So moved.
I'll second. Discussion, questions?
The MKSK, that's for the park, correct?
Yeah, we didn't have a purchase order. We had approved that, and we found when we approved it, but that was during the transition of fiscal officer.
Right.
So and that was, we had 2 bills there. One had to do with the park application, the other had to do, which we're still continuing with the design on Pike Street. But that's why we had it as a purchase order, so we could pay those 2 invoices.
Nothing from Ice Miller, no, okay.
And I think I'll put that, now that you mentioned that, probably on one of these agendas as far as the NCA representation.
I wanted to talk about, because at $5.90 an hour, I don't know if we
I
can.
know.
We can, if we're gonna still keep it our attorneys, Brooker and Green could probably handle it at half the cost. That's all I have.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
transfers.
I made one transfer. We transferred from other, which is a account that had some money in it and put it into.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Okay.
Yeah, we transferred, is it correct, 150,000?
150.
And we transferred that to contracted services. And the reason we did that is because the 80,000, which we didn't anticipate for the additional engineering, came out of contracted services. And then the other commitments that we've encumbered with our other consultants, we needed more in order to pay some of these consulting services, including the hiring of Schultz and Associates, which is estimated to get us to the end of the year at 24 hours at $80 an hour, about $50,000.
So was it 150,000?
Yes, I can make you guys copies.
Yeah, thank you.
But we wanted to bring that to the board because in order to go ahead and approve these purchase orders and move
Right.
forward, we had to take that money, which is kind of a catch-all category.
Yeah, and I got that. Jackie sent that email with the
Okay.
transfer in it.
Good.
So, thank you.
So, are you going to motion?
So moved. To make that transfer from other to the.
Was it seconded or?
Contractual,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Evans. Any further questions? Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Public comments. Anyone would like to speak tonight after the meeting? You got 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address again so we have it for the record, so we can put it in the minutes. And I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, we'll look at giving you guys some minutes. Yeah, just, I want to apologize if I use any crude language because
Just Mr. Garland, right, is your name?
Larry Carley,
Carley, okay.
136 Buckbrush Drive. If I use any crude language, you got to remember that I'm a sailor, so you have the right to do that, to some degree. But, you know, talking about flying a flag upside down, and if you want to fly a flag, any flag, other than the American flag, may I suggest the POW? We still have over 10,000 people that are missing in action in the military. And the other thing about 22 veterans committing suicide a day resonates with me and all my friends and all the military guys. And I think for the mental health of our veterans, we got to do a better job. Now, Ms. McGee, as I understand, you're saying if you had your way in your household, that flag would not be flying upside down. Is that correct? I'm sorry? Did you say yes? I didn't hear you.
First of all, I'm not here to answer your questions.
I'm sorry?
Okay? I'm not here to answer your question. You can speak. You have the floor. It is.
Would you be flying the flag upside down if you had your way?
Well, let me just mention that trustees don't have to answer. They certainly have the opportunity to answer questions from the public, but there's nothing wrong with the question. If Ms. McGee refuses to answer,
Well, does the record show that she refused to answer that question?
well, you asked the question and there was no response, so the minutes won't have
I
anything
mean,
there.
would the record show somewhere that she refused to answer the question?
I can't.
Well, let me say this, since you want to answer questions, just to let you know, our ring was on and our speaker was on, so we heard everything that was said, and you didn't make it clear. You pulled in my driveway. Okay, so you lied. You pulled in my driveway, sir. Okay? You tried to say your dog never barked. Okay? And there is a police report. So if anybody wants to get the police report, you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
So everything's on that report.
Well, you know, the police officer come down
So-
and said, would you like to write it?
So just to be clear, it's all on our ring. They picked everything up that you said.
Okay.
But you didn't tell the truth right there, so I'm not here to
Well,
refute you.
again-
But thank you very much for
Well-
thinking that you can tell me what to do at my house. but you
I'm not
can't.
trying to
Thank
tell you what to do. I'm just asking you as
I
a
don't
public
have-
representative, elected officer, representing the people of Etna Township.
Correct.
You're saying
Correct.
I would fly that flag properly if I had my way?
Sir, I'm just going to tell you, you came in my driveway and you threatened me.
No, I didn't
Okay.
threaten
Oh,
you.
yeah, it's all on, yes, it's all there.
The
Okay.
police officer didn't do it.
Mr. Carney, finish
Who
up.
played
Mr. Carney,
the
Mr. Carney.
Second Amendment card first?
Mr. Carney, I'll give you another 30 seconds. You're about to.
Okay, it's a pretty simple question.
I understand.
And it's for all these people and all the citizens and the voters of Etna Township.
Well, why don't you go look up the U.S. Flag Code, Section 8?
I know the
Eight.
U.S.
Okay.
Flag Code.
All right.
I know there's no law against
Okay.
it. When you got a weak-ass Supreme Court that'll lead those wife, he blames it on his wife.
Your
So,
time. Thank you, sir. Anybody else that wants to
Thank you, Mr. Carlin.
thank you.
Doug McKechnie, 116 Boot Hush Drive.
Yes, sir. Go
It's
ahead.
difficult. It's a difficult situation. It really is. Just to let you know, I served in the Air Force back when some of you actually were not alive. Plus me. And one of my assignments was Saudi Arabia. And we didn't fly the flag in Saudi Arabia because the Saudis wouldn't let us. We didn't even have airplanes, although we built the air base because the Saudis wouldn't let the Americans bring in the planes. So it was a interesting assignment. And then from there I went to West Germany when they were building the Berlin Wall. So that's my military background. And in speaking about flying the flag upside down, I've spoken to a number of veterans, and they are and were really upset about it. And although I was not in Vietnam, because at that time I was too old, excuse me, but they were upset. And this is why earlier when I suggested that if someone is going to fly the flag upside down, maybe just to let a neighbor know or someone else know exactly why you're doing it. And then that creates understanding rather than animosity. Because the veterans have served all over the world. And we have another veteran who served 33 years. And he was very upset when we had our little discussion. So I don't think it's anything personal in regard to this particular flying of the flag, but it opens it up to a broader dimension that if you're going to do it, let the community know, give a reason. You don't have to, but it would benefit the community as a whole, and maybe not create the animosity and anger and misunderstanding. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else at this time?
Wouldn't be a meeting if I didn't speak. Chuck Bundy, 10254 Tollgate Road Southwest. Amid all the confusion and the controversy I'm hearing here tonight, I want to bring something else up, and that is, have you guys considered home rule, putting a home rule on the ballot and changing the way you operate a little bit? I just wondered if you'd consider it. That's all.
I know Mr. Evans has talked about that. I certainly think it's something worth looking into. But it takes on, there's an awful lot of moving parts on that, additional responsibility, but I appreciate you bringing that up. So, is there anyone else?
The reason I brought it up, excuse me, the reason I brought it up is Violet Township is a home rule township, and they have some teeth in the do not, or stay off of this road thing. No through traffic, no through truck traffic, fine up to $1,000. Okay, we can say that, but we don't have any teeth. We don't have any teeth in the whole thing, and that's the reason that I bring up the home rule. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Judy Newman, 9630 Lynn's Road. First of all, I'd like to thank Rachel for her comments in the beginning regarding Scanell. We've been fighting this for years. We were promised a 30-foot buffer with a 20-foot wall on top, mounded dirt with a 20-foot wall on top, nicely landscaped. We have noise, we have truck fumes, we have the lighting issue, and it has affected the peaceful enjoyment of our yards, especially at night. It's worse at night. So I appreciate the board looking into having some of this addressed and corrected, and I just want to thank you.
Anyone else? I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank our veterans and for all the comments we had here tonight regarding our development concerns and your views on many topics. So I appreciate you coming.
Cocktails now?
Yeah. Well,
Did you buy?
Do you want some water?
there will be as soon as we adjourn. With that said, I move to go into executive session per Ohio Revised Code 121.22G, and this will be to consider the appointment of a public official, which will be basically the review of some of the applications we have for the zoning inspector, and also to discuss continuing employment of a public employee. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Should that not be appointment, but employment of the zoning inspector?
Well, Well, it
Because we're
would-
not appointing.
well, we're not appointing, but we can include employment, consideration for employment. We'll add that. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
We're in executive session at 8 PM. I don't think we'll be making a decision. You're welcome to stay, but if you'd like to leave, I don't think we're just reviewing resumes tonight, so we won't be actually appointing anyone. Thank you for coming. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
Come out of executive session.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Evans. Time is 8:27. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. McKee?
Mr. McKee?
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Out of executive session. Any further discussion regarding personnel and employment?
Just regarding who's going to contact applicants for an interview, would that be you, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. So what, next regularly scheduled meeting?
I would say so, or you had mentioned a special meeting to address other issues, so I don't know for our next meeting, I think is July 5th, is it?
Today's-
July 2nd.
Yeah. And I won't be available next week. I'll be on vacation.
Okay,
Next week, which I mentioned that for a few days.
that's fine. Well, I think we want to make it for the second. I'd have a special, but if we're not all here, this is really
So you
something.
go with July 2nd?
Mhm.
I can't believe that's coming up July.
I know pretty soon it's gonna be cold again, and then I'm gonna have to move south.
So let me make contact and see if they're available for July 2nd, and we'll discuss how, in person or Zoom.
Okay,
Does that sound good?
yeah.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure you are.
These two things you passed, the one's BPS and the other one's Paul Peterson,
I'm glad you didn't leave. Marie.
who signed?
I can sign.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. And
Next trustee, anything else?
That's it.
No, she,
do you all have to sign this one?
What is
For
that?
the service agreement for Schultz and Associates?
All, yeah.
well, we're on there, aren't we?
You can.
It just says Edmond Township trustees.
Okay.
And then it says township, this one's not the right one.
Okay.
And then it says township attorney.
Does the
That's the contract, that's the contract,
Yes.
yeah. There'll probably be, there might be a modification, take that one line out, as I said, as a contingency.
That's why I said don't sign it.
Yeah, and I think Bricker Graydon already looked at that, but I sent him an email noting that that would be one additional thing we'd want out of there. Our next regular trustee meeting is Tuesday, July 2nd. The comprehensive plan workshop is Wednesday, June 26th. I confirmed that with Mr. Linner. It'll be the presentation and then opportunity for public input. And the Records Commission meeting, which will be our first of 2024, is July 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
I know you already told me I had to go. I said, well, did
Yes.
anybody check with me to, if I was available?
I'm glad you are. Thank you. So,
I said, nobody asked me, I'm going on vacation.
No, you can't.
any other trustee comments?
Yeah, I have a question for the fiscal officer regarding the M1 resolution. I know you were hesitant to sign that or had questions about trustees signing that. Are we going to get a signed copy, tested and certified of that?
Well, don't we, I mean, I looked at the other resolutions, we always have the trustees sign off on them.
No.
Yes.
The only one that's required is the fiscal officer to sign.
Well, then why have we been signing them?
Because Bricker and Graydon throws them on there, some put them on there, some don't.
I would prefer everybody sign it.
Legally, it does not.
Why don't you get two, trustee?
And did you confer with the prosecutor regarding that?
Yes,
And what did they say?
I could.
You could just sign it?
No, I can sign it without the ethics problem.
Okay, so,
That-
okay.
That was a little different question, not whether the trustees
That
have.
wasn't the question I
But
have.
that has been the convention, that we have the trustees sign off on resolutions.
No.
It is, I looked at the organizational.
The-
Organizational meaning some of the other stuff, it's got signatures.
If you look, those are the ones I've thrown on there, because again, some attorneys have put it on there, it's not required. But one of the things that we do need to do is, because there is that timeline that we have to get it to the, I believe it's the recorder and LCPC within 5 days of the 30 days of it being enacted. So I would recommend, as I did in the email, that a prosecutor's opinion be obtained, and Jackie can do that. But I don't believe it requires any additional signatures of the trustees, and I'm not sure how, if we're gonna say at this point, we're gonna add it, is that a change? Is that, I think we're opening up a whole can of worms that is not required, so.
Well, I'll second the motion, but, in the future, let's do it the way we've been doing it. This constant having to go in the prosecutor because we just decide, well, we don't have to put it on there. Let's get that decided ahead of time before we do the resolution. We've done it in the past, Mr. Evans, and now you want to change it.
No.
Say, well, we don't have to do it,
It's
so
the
let's not do it.
same resolution without the board signatures as we've done for all the other ones. So
You just said
there is
that-
no change.
You're just saying we can't do it
For
though
ver-
now. We have to get
for
a
the res-
prosecutor's opinion instead.
No, I'm saying if the fiscal officer is unsure, uncomfortable, it's a quick determination. In my due diligence, it's not.
Put your names on it and be done with it?
I don't know if we can, because that's the resolution we passed.
Well, let me just say this, that I like the fact that the trustees have their signatures on there so that it shows that one, we attest to the document, that we passed it, and we affixed our signature in support of it. Or you could affix it and it'll show that you voted nay or yay. But I'll support getting this cleared up so we can move on. Is there any comments, Ms.
No,
McKee?
no comments.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes. I don't know whether there's a
Mr.
motion.
Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
I mean, Ms. Catuno can get a prosecution opinion at any time, but then I
Well,
did.
we're gonna get it on the record, Mr. Evans, that you insisted on it, so we will have it documented.
Okay. Then regarding public records, it was brought up tonight that they're not being responded to. I also agree. Many of the records requests were overly broad, vague, and that those do need to be properly responded to. So I do think we're opening ourselves up to liability by
Well,
not.
have you responded to the ones that have requested records from
No,
you?
because the person that was voted by this board to do it, there's got to be a singular contact, because you can't have 8 different people responding to, it's too vague, there's got to be proper response, and that's been the fiscal officer. Again, this has been brought up before, so I'm just bringing this up now. I do have a question regarding the administrator. The applications were open up until June 15th. I was wondering if we have any update on that.
Yeah, they're screening right now.
Okay, great.
They had a lot more come in, and they're screening right now.
Great, that's
I
good.
talked to him last week.
Okay, that's good to hear. Comp plan, I haven't seen anything. Is Mr. Leonard planning on getting a corrected version of the comp plan?
Did you forward your corrections to me as I requested the list at the previous meeting? You brought up the new.
Yes, I sent you that the zoning map was incorrect, and that has been sent to you, just as a reminder if that's coming up.
Well, that was addressed by, I don't know, that was addressed by the former secretary that sent things over to Mr. Leonard, so.
No, I'm saying that the draft copy that Holly had received not too long ago contains error.
Draft copy from where?
Contained that error.
From
The
who?
draft from Mr. Leonard.
When was that?
I don't know.
Well, I have to
and
have a
that-
date if I'm gonna go find out if he's got.
You were copied on the email. And then I do want to state, there seems to be accusations of trying to relitigate stuff or bringing up stuff. Again, we're trying to deal with this properly. I'm being contacted by residents, applicants, vendors, developers regarding a lack of response or communication regarding numerous issues One was the mosquito contract that I had forwarded since May 16th, numerous requests that were not forwarded and were delayed for about a month. And I asked for that to be properly addressed. When I've got vendors that are saying we're not being responded to, developers, again, residents, and even myself, or the health department had to send 6 emails and it was still responded to the day after it was required. So I am concerned. Me bringing up is just proper oversight, and we need better response and communication. And what I propose is simply assign a different representative that would timely convey the requests to the health department and not change what the board voted on as far as authorized representative. So I take, I don't know why it's trying to make it sound like I'm trying to jump on everybody or that. I'm just trying to make sure we have proper administration in this township. And I hear, again, one day by a resident, a vendor, a developer, and an applicant that they are not being responded to or updated or anything. And it's an ongoing concern by many in the township. And again, if Ms. Burkholder, you're not going to do it, I can do it, or somebody else can do it, but we need things to be responded to in a timely manner. That's what I'm saying.
Do you have anything, Ms. McKee?
I don't have a thing.
I don't either, so is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second.
And a second by Mr. Evans. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes,
we
Don't you guys leave.
stand adjourned.
thank you.
I need you guys to
We
sign
need
this so I can
signatures.
get